Hello, this is Jay Blankenship, the cs480 project. I just wanted to go over the actual completion of the update now is working. It's working with the relation table that uh, has a relationship between the player and the item and the amount that they have of that item. Currently, there's a few things that are hard-coded, but don't worry, they're not hard-coded in SQL. They're only hard-coded on the interface side, so the side of immediate interface before the API even. So we're still sending this statically programmed value to the API and then sending it to an SQL query, and it's working in that SQL query, and it's working throughout all that. Um, but yeah, we are using this as a static, and then we also are just counting the amount of helmet items by counting the beaked visor. This could actually work on a grander scale, but would be a bit messy. It'd probably be a better way to get the amount of items that are of the same class and name instead of just looping through and um, adding them all via like a integer. But this is all not really pertaining directly to the project in SQL, so I kind of just use this hard-coded value and then just use this counting method to give us a demonstration of what could be based on further implementation of the design and structure of how you want to build this entire game. Because games are whole big, like they're real big. I could sit here and develop the whole game all day, but we have to have our limits of where it becomes a demo. So this is kind of where it becomes a demo. We're just sending a static value of helmet through. So I only have one helmet item, and I might add more when I get a chance, but just for demo purposes, and then for counting, for demonstration counting purposes of counting how many items are in the inventory, we count them just like this. Get the item name if it is a beaked visor, which is what this helmet is. It's a beaked visor helmet, and it's named that in the engine by my name, by the item name. So yeah, I can rename that too if I wanted, so I could add different names and whatnot as I add different items. So it is kind of a scalable process now, but it really isn't what you probably want to end up with. But then if we run the demo and we run the update, it's really hard to see. I don't know. I probably could change the color easily, but I just, we've been working on the SQL, getting that working, so I haven't changed the color or anything. But we can see that this is username 12, and I just ran this through and it all worked very well, and so I'll explain real quick what it's kind of doing. Basically, when we actually run this update button query, we first go and we go to the update button, and this thing gets really complicated, the update system, because we need to possibly update or possibly insert or possibly forget it altogether, depending on if there's a player in the player table and if there's a player already in the player item relation table, or if there's not, we need to insert one and there is a player in the player table. Because if this player that's entered here wasn't in the player table to begin with, then we won't do anything, because the player needs to create an account, register, and then try to upload some stuff into himself. But right now we're just in the I call it blueprint function, but it's just like the function that's associated with this button that's created in blueprints. So that's why I'm calling it that. But the button isn't, it's just created in blueprints, but then we actually have to reference it on create and an onCreate function in here. So there's a lot kind of going on there. But right now, all we're doing right now is we're calling this, and all this does is checks if the player, the username is in the player table. And we can go here and we can see it doing that. Pull this up. So it was this one, and this gives back a player data type, which is from the player table, and so a player entity type, and like it's a row of the player table is what it's giving back, or a row of rows, or yeah, like a bunch of rows of the player table, and so it's giving back that right here as we search for it. And so if this succeeds, now we go to this right here, this function that it's binded to. So we go to this. I'm just gonna make this simple because I'll hopefully make it simple. There we go. Make sure we don't get lost. Alright, so now it goes here. And now when it goes to this, what it's going to do is it checks if there was an error. Now, this right here is going to be in the string sent back if the player is not in the player table. So if the username we just looked up doesn't exist in the player table, then this will be called. This will be where we end up. And we'll just stop, right? There's no continuation here. This is a log that just tells us there is no player with that name in the player database. Abort all. We're not doing anything because we need to log in first, because it's still kind of development demo anyway. It wouldn't really make sense that you'd be able to do this as a player, but obviously this whole environment here is a test environment that we got going, that we're imagining these constraints of being logged in first, possibly. So yeah, if they're not in the player database, they shouldn't even be in the game. This doesn't make sense. So stop doing everything. We end here. Now if they are in the player table, we're gonna be doing this, and now we go and we do this, and now we're gonna go back and look at what this is. Now this is checking to make sure that the player is in. Well, let's see real quick. I don't want to spoil it. Checks to see if the player is in the player item amount table. How do we know? Because this call right here, that is player on update, player look update. Let's look up update. Yep, that would be returning a player item string. So if this returns bad, then what that means is it means that we went in and we tried to find a username selected from our player table, because we already checked that matched the ID inside of this table. The query is a nightmare, but it's right here. So we're doing check for update. Is that the one? Yes. Yep, check for update. So what does this one call? It calls check for update. We go up here, we can see that this is right here, check for update. It calls this. And so what we see this doing is, now remember, we already checked the player table. We did this when we called the other one in the very beginning, like 5 minutes ago. When we called that other one, when I was going through, we did all this, so we checked this. Now we're checking this. We're really just checking this. We're checking this where we found this, and we're checking again. I know it's not making much sense, but it's all for demo purposes, and it's all to see that we actually can do this. And yeah, update always is a little tricky. But now next, we go into there and we would find the player that has that ID, because now we're working with an ID instead of a player actual username. We're working with an internal server like backend ID. It might be like 18 or 42 or 39, I believe is one of them. Now, after we call this, we're actually going to look up the player ID, and based on what we get back, we're going to know whether that player ID is in the player ID table, or is in the player item relationship table, or isn't in the player item relationship table. How are we going to know that? We have to follow this. This is another function now that's binded to this function. So we go and we're in, not in there, but we are in here. This looks right. Yep, this is correct. So now we landed in here. Now this is, here we'll insert a new entry. Or no, that's not it. I'm sorry. That's not it. This is, here we will insert a new entry. I should delete this. This is incorrect here. Because what's happening here, it's right here. This is where we're checking again. Now, this is saying that if we just launched that one lookup that was supposed to take our username, find the ID to our username in the player table, then take that ID and then go to the player item relationship table and check if that ID exists in there, this is where we end up if it didn't. If it didn't exist in there, this is where we go. And so here we will insert a new entry. And so we see this is called add, this is called update. right here, we add player in relation table, rel table, real table, my naming, very good. Now, if we had successfully found a user in the table, then we succeeded and we just update it. And now, what we're doing on all of these is we're calling procedural calls. I like calling procedural calls because I can test them in Postman really easily. So I can just like create the procedural call, try to integrate it into my Kotlin right here, and then if I can get it working in Kotlin, I should be able to get it working here, which it says error, but it actually updates it. We'll see that in a second. We're about to run demo, but now we'll run demo, and that's going to be an insert of an existing one and an insert of a brand new person. That's what we'll try, and we'll see how that works. So username 12 is the existing one, and if we go to, I have to go into all this, so we'll go to player. We see that username 12 is real. It's right here at 42. Item ID, that's the player ID. That's what I'm talking about. How back end, like in the back end, no one sees it, but that's what it is. It's 42. Now it goes in here and it checks for 42, and it's going to check for 42, and it wants to update it to 3. And it's not going to do it right now because we don't have 3 in our inventory. Now it'll do 3 because we added another one. So see, that's username 12. We'll hit update. Now we'll hit MySQL. Where did it go? Right here. Now it's still 2, but we didn't hit the refresh now just because I don't know. Let's do it again to make sure because who knows. So now we have 4, and we still have the username 12 right there. Against the green, it's not bad. Now we hit update. Now, I know there's a lot of errors and whatnot coming down here, but the same thing happens when I try to do delete and whatnot, and it still goes through, it updates it. So, that's probably some other small stuff I need to figure out, but that's fine. It works. It's taken me like all day. All days. All week. It's taken me probably, it's been a long time coming since I'm supposed to get this update working, but it's working now, so it's fun and cool. But now we also need to try it with some other players. So yeah, I mean there's errors, but it works. I mean, come on, man, look at it, it's working. I mean, the errors suck, I know, but trust me, so does this. And trying to look for errors in it sucks just as bad as just looking at it like we are now. So yeah, I've tried my hardest, I've tried my best, but now we're gonna insert a new player into this relation table. And how we're going to do that? Well, we have 18, 39, 42. Let's find a player in the player table that isn't of those names. Let's do user underscore name. That one should work. So we'll do user underscore name. And so this one is not in that table yet, right? And we have, God, I can't count 5. We have 5 helmets that we're going to add. So let's real quick go back and look at this table, player item amount. So relation table. So we have nothing in here, nothing at all. Now we're gonna update it because we got this new username. We're gonna update it, and we've tested the functionality of update, right? We kept going here. When we had an existing username, we kept going to update player. We kept sending our username in, our helmet, which is our helmet that we're doing, and then we kept sending in our string from our helmet. So yeah, in reality, I'd probably want to change my helmet name that I got here, which I can. Into helmet, but I want to probably change this, to be honest, more because this is super generic. But it's all in good time. Right now, let's focus on just the update and ready. We're gonna update a new username. We're gonna put it in. It's gonna show. Let's go back. Let's hit refresh. There we go, 9, and it's in order. I didn't even do that. That was just by chance. No, it's probably doing that because this is the primary key of this table. But here. There we go. And then we can, now, the same exact thing, we're going to go through, we did this line of code to that row, now we're going to do this line of code to that row, because we're going to, it's already there, we're going to update it. Now ready? It was at, I added a helmet, I swear I clicked on one, so it was at 5, and now we got 6 helmets, we should? Yep, 6. Okay, so that works. I haven't tried deleting it all yet, I'm kind of scared about that, I'll try it, but I have to get that little fixed up. We'll see if it cascade deletes, and if it does, that'll be sweet. So delete, and same thing here, it throws the error for delete like I said earlier, but as you can see, oh no, it's not deleting this one because it doesn't have, what does it not have? Oh, I think I know why it doesn't delete this one. Well, it deleted the other one. Alright, now it looks sketchy because I pulled it off screen. Alright, so we'll register the same one. So we'll register, well, let's go look at see if it took it out of here. Oh god, it did. Alright, cool. So I can show a working thing. So I don't know why the underscore didn't work. I do have a reason why the underscore didn't work. I have an explanation here. I'm not going to make a new video. Alright, this is a good one. So I haven't covered spaces yet, but I'm pretty sure spaces aren't being sent over the internet, and I'm guessing now underscores too aren't being very nicely sent over the internet, I would have to guess. So, it did completely work just now. We're missing one if you haven't noticed. I'm going to try to make this look I'm going to try to make it like fit good so we can actually like do a good demo here and watch it all happen all at once, and I'm not like pulling it around and moving it. Alright, so now this sucks. I wish I changed the color. Alright, so we see the username password. So we don't have that in this table anymore because I deleted it because I hit delete on this. I hit this delete, like I swear. That's all I did. So now username's gone. Now we're going to register it. Now we registered it because it works there. So username is in here and it's in here right here. And now we're going to register another one just to make sure that my thing isn't broken because I had an error. I had this weird thing where I was able to do it once and then it like freaked out the second time. It doesn't let me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix it here too. Well, I think I know why. It's because this has to have a unique password unique email and username. It cannot have so I'm just breaking my own rules now. Okay. Now we should add one after the other if we change the username. So let's make sure we can do this one after another. No, I'll have to fix that. So that's just I know what that is. That's a really weird line of code that I have to edit out. But you see it adds here. That's just part of the insert I'll have to touch up. But I'll get that working. So it adds it in here, so it does insert it. And then I can go to player. It's not in here yet. So now we're gonna update. We're gonna update just this new username that we added. That should have a totally new player ID with it. Who knows? We'll find out real quick soon here. So 45, yeah, it's got a more upper player ID because it was added later. And now we're going to just look up that player to make sure it all works. See, it's looking up the player and it works. It's the username, email, and password. Now we're going to do something crazy. We're going to delete it. And we're going to see what happens when we delete it. It's gone. Oh my gosh. So it all works nicely. So the one weird bug about inserting that I know what it is that's messing up, well, I might have to like rewrite that to make it a procedure then, but yeah, either way though, the update does work now flawlessly. In terms of actually being cascade deletion from the player table onto the player relation item data table, there's small, very, very small, minute bugs to work out, like the not being able to add or insert one after another. I mean, let me test that again to make real sure that that was what it is, because why wouldn't this add? This will add, right? No, it doesn't want it. Oh, because there's already a username, that's 112. Okay, so I might not have a bug here, I might just have me, I'm the biggest bug. Nope. That's probably because the email has a tie. Well, let's try to insert some random ones real quick, if it'll let me. There we go. And then let's make sure. There we go. Yeah, so it does insert one after another for insert. My insert isn't broken. It's just I'm broken. It's me, which makes a lot of sense. No one's confused but me. But yeah, like I had this weird error where some of these were that slowed me down for a couple days, where some of these would like not execute one after another. They would execute and then have an error and then execute and then have a HTML error and then execute and then have an HTML error, like in that order, like a pattern, like really weird. And I also added these two right here. You might have seen low player data and low item table data. That's just because with Kotlin and everything I had to do, and it just made it easier. Basically, I had to constantly, I did have to go into the item table data because I had to go grab the like I said about this sending like real SQL stuff, even though it's hard coded. Like this helmet value, it goes to the item table and it asks like what's the ID of the item helmet right here. Like so it yeah, it's hard coded, yeah, okay, but it goes through the whole SQL query. Like it's just because I'm burnt out. Like I'm not lazy. Like I swear. Like it is like it's SQL queries happening for helmet. It's looking at the helmet table and then it's going to the ID and then it's saying helmet ID is this. Add this to the relational table, and it goes to the relational table and it says, here we go. It says this player or player ID 9, which is username blah blah. You know, it's I mean, well, our 45 we deleted, but we had this 42, which 42 would go to, yeah, username 12. And so then we're saying username 12 has the first item. What is the first item? The first item is the helmet, because see that, isn't that familiar? That's exactly what we did. We went into item name and we filtered by helmet, and then we grabbed item ID, and then we said, we said, yeah, we got well, we said recently we said we had 6 of them, and then I mean we could just do username 12. What do we want to do? We want to fill it up all the way. Let's add a few more helmets, update them. Boom. So yeah, works great. Pretty much very small little things to touch up, but I mean you see the functionalities there. It's happening, like it is all there. It's actually happening persistently and not persistently, that's not what I meant to say. Reliably, you know, it's predictable. Because I did have an issue where it was like failing one and then sending one and failing one. That was really weird. It turned out it was just because I was sending a empty structure for it to fill, and it hated that structure, and if I just didn't send anything, it sent back perfectly fine information. So yeah, really weird stuff. Learning a lot though. And yeah, this is pretty much the wrapping up of it. Thank you.